This is where the fun begins.
Are you sure? So be it.
Someone asked me to give the best reason why someone should read the expanded universe. After giving it a lot of thought, here's what I have to say. The expanded universe respects the reader. In the expanded universe, Luke Skywalker's optimism continues where it left off in Return of the Jedi. He's fulfilled hope to the galaxy just like Obi-Wan said he would, not like the Disney movies where he gave up on the Jedi or even the whole galaxy for that matter. The character you see in those movies is not Luke. Luke isn't a quitter. He's not a pessimist. He's a leader. He's inspirational. And he's always there for his friends in times of need. Another character is Han Solo. He's introduced to us in A New Hope as a loner, a man who cares only for himself and nobody else. But by the end of Return of the Jedi, that all turns around when he finally finds friends he can trust and a true love to spend the rest of his life with. And that's exactly what he does in the expanded universe. Han is a devoted husband and father to Leia and their kids. He loves his family above all else. In the new movies, Han turns out to be a selfish deadbeat dad who ran out on his family when things get tough. It's a complete 180 from the character that we saw from Return of the Jedi. Now, another thing the EU does is it rewards its readers. Attention to detail when it comes to continuity has never been done at such a level as when it was performed by the expanded universe. Avid readers will constantly be rewarded for their diligence as comics, novels, video games, and even children's books share connections throughout the entire series, making it almost a flawless, continuous story. And though it has its minor flaws, it's still the best overall story and continuity out there, period. That's what the EU does. It respects and rewards its readers. And that's the best reason you should give it a try. Long live the expanded universe.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to CAF Chat. I am so happy to be back with you. Last week, I had some issues going on that I had to take care of myself, so I'm sorry for the absence, but I'm here with you today. First of all, what's in your mug? Look what I have here. I have a lot of dings and stuff like that on this mug, and then lipstick, of course. But what's in your mug? I have my coffee with just a little bit of sugar, no cream or nothing like that. But I'm happy to be back, and oh my God, look at my hair. So I got a new hairstyle. It's basically layered around my head, but you can't really see it because my hair's dark and the lighting's not letting you guys see what's going on here. So I'm happy to be back here and on camera too. Wow, it's been a while. And of course, what are you enjoying reading when it comes to Expanded Universe? Now, that video of Matt Wilkins, credit to him. That's his video. That's why he's tagged in it. That is so motivational. So if you're feeling kind of downtrodden about Star Wars lately and stuff, just watch that video and that will pick you right up and you'll be like, okay, what's my favorite story? Maybe I should start reading it again. Or maybe I didn't explore this timeline here. Maybe that would be worth picking up a book there. So let's see who's in the chat. and I'll begin to say hello. However, today is going to be very interesting for everyone because you know how if you're in this culture war, I guess you can call it, our pop culture war, or you're defending the things you love, like franchises like Star Wars, like I do. You know, there's woke analogy, there's woke phrases that are thrown upon us by the other side. And now we're using it to counter them. So we're going to talk about that men's safe space. What is a man's safe space when it comes to franchises and stuff? We're going to talk about that. I think that that's the wrong choice of words to use if you're going to counter. But we'll get into that later. We'll get into some things that were said about Lando Calrissian here on Twitter. So we'll get into that and we'll see what you guys know about Lando. And then, of course, we'll get into Lucas Facts, which will be here pretty quick. Lucas Facts and Book of the Week. Of course, our lore, which is basically the Sith. We're still going through this and discussing the Sith. So we're going through the Sith campaign still. So we'll have that. Talk about the stories related to within that, and even those who created annotations like Vader in there. So Vader's at the bottom right there. And then cringe factor. Cringe factor should be fun. When did, like, I'm not saying fun like woohoo fun. This shit's fun. I'm talking about cringy fun. So it's gonna be about the Lego Star Wars Lego. It's still, you know, it's still doubling on the mystery of Yoda. So we'll leave it at that. What does that mean? What does that mean? We'll leave it at that. Yes. So let's see who's in the chat. Darth Paz came in, and hello there to you. And of course, Justin, Matt is the GOAT. Of course he is. And of course, smash that like button. And again, if you're catching the replay, thank you for coming in and catching the replay and hanging out after the live. And of course, subscribe to Matt Wilkins. And he reached out. He shout out to me on his live stream the other night when I was cleaning my books and reorganizing my bookshelf. I was watching his live stream, and he said that he was going to get a hold of me and we're going to collaborate on something. So I'm waiting on that. So once that is announced, once I get the information, I will announce here with you guys what's going on. So Darth Paz says the EU is canon. Fence riders and shills can't handle the truth. Yes. And we have Double A here. Hello, Double A. How are you doing? And then, so Dermot McQuaid, show feet. Show feet? I'm not showing feet. I don't know why you wanted me to show feet. I'm not showing feet. I don't know what that's about. All right. And then hello, Conrado. I don't know why I say Coronado. I have done that to you before. I'm so friggin' sorry. Conrado. Oh my God. And then he, Athan or Atha or Ata. I am so sorry if I friggin' butchered that. I know how it is to have names butchered because my name, how it's spelled. And Mono Drew, hi, how are you doing? Yes. Dude, show my feet. What the heck? What is this about? What do you guys want to show feet for? All right. So Soul Assassin says, how many times do you think Matt rehearsed that video? 2, 3, or maybe 100 times? I don't know. Maybe he did it in one shot. Maybe it was just so honest and on the point that he just did it in one recording. Wouldn't that be crazy? I mean, I've done that, but it's like, you know, when you speak from the heart like that, sometimes it just happens. Okay. I see everybody talk about feet. Warm up that calf. Yes, warm up that calf. And says Conrado, why does Lucasfilm hate the New Republic? I don't know. And I was looking at their timeline, and what's crazy is that instead of the timeline saying New Republic, it says sequel trilogy. So sequel trilogy begins at right after Endor. So when you look at the perspective timelines, I'll have to look in the books. I do want to make it up to Barnes and Nobles again. I haven't been there in a while to do my investigation on their stock of books, what's being sold and stuff like that. But when you look at the timelines in these books, like this one here, you have, the eras. So you have before the Republic, you have the Old Republic, you have the Rise of the Empire, Rebellion era, and then you have the New Republic, New Jedi Order, and then you have Legacy. On theirs, where it's supposed to be New Republic in the timeline, it says the sequel trilogy timeline. There you go. So do you think they're really going to erase that, the sequel trilogy? Not really. They already have it set up way after, like right after Endor. That's when that era begins. So Mono says, I'm on a long walk, so just water for me right now. That's good. Walk is good. Fancy, you going on a date later? No, not really. Just dolled myself up. All right. So let's see here. Stan Switwix Retro Game and Cinema. What's up? I just read Shadows of Mindor and I'm now reading Rogue Squadron Book 1. Woo! All right. So I've been listening to, I'm going through, I always go back and forth with books, but I don't know why I went back. Well, I was listening to Silmarillion too, but where's that?
Feel directly menaced.
Stop it. So right here, and I hate that they switched the cover on the Audibles. I wish they would have kept the original cover. I don't think you could see that. But I am listening to right now Kaido's Trap. So they switch it. They switch the covers. Once they get new covers for those, they switch them. And it's just, I hate it. I wish I could just keep the original cover on there. Your pick is Fuzzy Ogre looking like an old dial-up days. You know what? Let me turn off my camera. I have a little warning up here. Connection is unstable, and I don't know why. It doesn't usually happen. It happens far few in between. So let me see here. So flicking through Book of Sith at the moment. Awesome. Let's see here. And Anakin is here. How are you doing, Anakin Batsy? And Sassy77. Howdy, y'all. How are you doing? And let's see here. Of course, smash the like button. Our mod here. Thank you, Soul Assassin, for tuning in with me every Thursday. And then Conrado says, why do the DEI people keep hijacking men's franchises? You know what? It's any franchise. It's any. It does it. And I wouldn't say like franchises are gender specific because they aren't. They do. There's things that I worded it better on social media. It's favored to in a sense, or it appeals to. There we go. It appeals to certain gender, but it doesn't mean it's specifically for. It's open to anybody who wants to get into that type of lore. So we'll get into that. We'll get into that. Billy D is Lando, so dang. Yeah, so we'll get into that too. Real men don't need safe space. Yes, and that's the thing that pissed me off when I started seeing people use it in defense of that. And we'll get into that, and we'll get into the original context and how it turned into, oh, these franchises are a safe space and now women invaded. And I'm like, seriously, you are like pushing your allies away by speaking that way. And I don't think that's a good call for you. But we'll get into that. I have a lot to say, but we'll get into that here pretty soon. And oh my God. Let's see here. Always a feet dude lurking. Yeah, I don't know. This is the first time ever. Take that feet talk to the Acolyte fans. It's Neon Anton. Okay. Not Anton. Okay. I get it. Thank you so much. Make an oof about feet oh, Only's fan. I'm like, oof. Damn, Laura. I need more coffee. I need to wake up. No. I ain't about that shit. I ain't about that. Only's fans and stuff like that. I may joke about, I may do sexualized jokes. I may be out there, I may be blunt, but when it comes to personally physical stuff, that's between me and my other half. So that's where I draw the line. There we go. Joking. Hashtag joking. I know everybody's like, what the heck is going on here? But that's okay. I mean, I was like, where the hell did this feet shit come from? Wow, I've never had that. I think you made us all like step back, like, what? What? Okay, so, Silver Org is here. Ogre, sorry. Why does Lucasfilm hate Lucas? I don't know. And let's see, OG Star Wars, have you seen the Rings of Power? Oh my fucking God. I decided to watch the last episode last night. I don't know why. I wanted to torture myself before bed. I don't know why. I was working on things. I don't know why. I was curious. So that's what that shit was about. I was curious. And all I could think about is these are like some of these characters are named well-known Tolkien characters that were put in something completely different, a different type of fantasy with similar names to like what we would read about them in the lore. Nothing to do with the actual lore. So, I mean, and that's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I'm going to say about that. Nothing, there's no honoring the lore. It's totally names in a different fantasy, similar names in a different fantasy, and that's all. That's it. That's all I'm going to call that. And maybe you could say that about Star Wars too, in a sense, but yeah, I don't know. It was off. It was odd. It wasn't the lore. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Stan is here. The Legends Essential cover for the Rogue Squadron books are horrible. Yes, they are. I absolutely love the originals. The originals with, you know, the action scenes, the actual action scenes that are like some of the main events of the book. So, as an artist, and you know, you can even say as a chef or an artist, and chefs are basically artists because you eat or you consume is a better word. You consume with your eyes first. So when you have a magnificent art piece, and I'll even say it with this, like I'm going to boast about my art. I'm turning on the camera. When you have something that's well done, well constructed, well put together, it attracts you, right? Now, this is a rendition off of one of the comic covers, and it has Obi-Wan and Anakin on the front. So I removed them, and then I basically reconstructed her so you can see her arms and all this other stuff. So, and it's an oil painting. This comes from an oil painting. This side has lipstick. So it comes, and it's like all dinged up and stuff. And that's just life. I use it a lot. So it's, and then you can see them back here, like right here. And then even with Quinlan right here. Yeah. So when you consume art with the eyes, and that's where the appeal comes from, right? And so when you read a book or when you pick up a book, like this one right here, this one is basically a history book, but it's made with like the faux leather cover, I guess you can say. So it's hardcover and it looks like it's faux leather, but it looks like something that you would pick up and read if you want to learn historical facts. So there's a difference between how books are created for a person to get into. When you have a fantasy book, a sci-fi book that usually is minimalist in its content, in its cover, sometimes that doesn't attract you, or most of the time it doesn't attract you. Like the later series of Fate of the Jedi, they are the beginning of the minimalist in the EU covers, book covers, right? They are to the point still, but I would have liked to see something better. So that's my take on that. So you read with you consume with your eyes. So there's my tangent on that. And Dermot says, I've had enough with the male female race baiting fandoms from both sides. Correct. That's what we'll get into. And let's see here. I have more people coming in. Diddly squat. Hello. What did I miss? Nothing. I'm saying hello to everybody and joking around and just talking about our topics, or just briefly going over some topics that we'll be discussing here. And speaking of Mandalorian, man, there's a clip that I wanted to get on here that Soul Assassin shared with me so I can have it in here and play it for either my intro or outros. And it has to do with Mandalorian culture. And I forgot to do that. Damn it. I'll get that done for next week. All right, Conrado. I meant the era of the Mandalorian or the Tuscan Boba. The Tuscan Boba in the of the Middle Age Ahsoka. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Those are all those shows all fall in to the sequel trilogy timeline. So basically right after Endor is the sequel trilogy timeline. So again, let's see here. Dharma says the diversity loving Wookiees and the triggered right-wing snowflakes who get triggered on at the sight of non-whites, non-male characters and assuming it's woke based on nothing. I think that once they see, once it is announced by the franchise that it is going to have a female lead or something like that, that's where people just automatically react without getting further into the context of it. And so sometimes I think people jump the gun and it doesn't make, I guess you could say, quote unquote, our side look good whatsoever. All right, so let's get into I'll continue to say hello to you guys, but I want to get into our Lucas fact here. So this is, and I didn't make a segue clip for this, so I apologize, but we are going to get into Lucas fact. That's one thing, that's one topic I want to do like towards the beginning of the show, and then we'll get into lore. But Lucas facts here. So what is that? So what is Lucas facts? So Lucas Facts is anything about George Lucas pertaining to any of the properties that he's created. I can get into the Labyrinth, because he is the executive producer and he did help with the Labyrinth. I can get into Indiana Jones or anything that had Lucasfilm, and he had even his early I wouldn't say pre-Lucasfilm, maybe you could say that, because Lucasfilm was founded in 1971, I believe. Anything that George Lucas, is involved in. So Lucas facts, and this comes from the cinema of George Lucas. Lucas was aware that some of the concepts and characters he was devising were so bizarre that it was very difficult for anyone else to visualize them. The treatment he had shown Ladd in 1973 was illustrated with an occasional picture from a magazine, but he now wanted to present illustrations showing actual scenes from the first draft. To this end, Lucas hired freelance artist Ralph McQuarrie to paint what would be referred to as a concept artwork. Based on 4 key scenes, he wanted the pictures to be idealistic, McQuaid said in 1977. In other words, don't worry about how things are going to get done or how difficult it might be to produce them. Just do them how you would like them to be. So there you go. So this is a bit of Lucas facts on hiring Ralph McQuarrie and how he wanted to show from 1973, the very first treatment that he's done. People said he never planned things out, that he never had a story. He had a story. He had treatments. 1973. I had ideas before then. He was putting them together so he could make his story. So he wanted Ladd and those that he was pitching this show to, this film to. He wanted to give him ideas on what that would look like visually. And so he hired Ralph McQuarrie. And Ralph McQuarrie, oh my God, he's the one that opened our eyes up to Star Wars dramatically with his concept art. He is the GOAT, I guess you can say. He is the GOAT. And so that's a bit of Lucas history here, or facts, not history, facts, about hiring Ralph McQuarrie And also about how early his treatments were being written. Yeah, think about that. How early his treatments were being written and stuff, and that he did have things planned out. I've been in conversations about this with people on social media about Lucas never had any plan whatsoever. If he didn't have a plan, he wouldn't even have brought in Ralph McQuarrie to share concept art to get this off the ground, right? To get this off the ground. All right, let me see. I'm going to scroll all the way down from where you guys were talking at. Let's see here. Star Wars, Justin says, I need to do same with Lighthouse. Lighthouse. Oh, you guys are talking right here. All right. Let's see here. Y'all just been Lucas facted. Yep. Been Lucas facted. So not only with his hiring process with Ralph McQuarrie, but also with, him planning these stories out. Like I said, if he didn't have a plan, how could he hire someone to share his plan visually? Think about that. Because you have to have a plan. You have to have this idea, this plan, this story in order for your artist, your concept artist, to put it out on paper, right? On canvas. Yeah. So this right here, if you don't have the cinema of George Lucas, I highly recommend it. No plan. He just whipped it all together. He just he just put his head against Ralph McQuarrie, and he's like, just read into my head and put it down on paper. It's the nothing plan, nothing. He was that brilliant, right? He was that brilliant that he had no plans, and Ralph kind of knew what he wanted and just freelanced it because George told him to, right? Got lucky and telling Marsha. Marsha fixed it all by herself. Justin coming in with this, and I see Melissa Lord is here. Hello, Melissa Lord. How are you doing? And to all the channel members coming in, hello to you guys. So this is the Lucas facts right here. And I will be I will be going through everything that I have regarding George Lucas and the Lucasfilm and stuff, and be sharing this with you guys every Thursday, making a conversation with you guys. So with that being said, before we move on into our lore segment of the show, what is your favorite Ralph McQuarrie art piece? Now you can say it here, or you can go onto social media and tag it to me, like a picture of it, and share there. Let's get Ralph McQuarrie's art out there. What is your favorite piece he's done for Star Wars? So go ahead and share here or on social media. Tag me in social media. Sassy says, those tourist Lucas on X are projecting. They can't defend the new stuff, so they try to insult Lucas. They're likely never they likely never searched any of it. They are going by Wikipedia and other online discourse. Correct. Watch not searched. Okay. Using the picture placeholder isn't unheard of. Fallout, Van Buren, Interplays, canceled Fallout 3, had various pictures from the other media, like Daisy Duke representing the attractive female character. Yeah, there is that, but like I said, George wanted that visual, like a concept that goes more into his ideas rather than something that is similar from a magazine. So the placeholders, I get it. He's like, this is kind of like what I'm going for. And then he's like, okay, I need someone to really put down what I'm going for. So there's, there's a difference between that. I'll go through my McQuarrie book tonight. Awesome. Yeah. So find one or two pictures. It doesn't have to be Star Wars. It could be Empire Strikes Back or any other concept pieces that Ralph has done for Star Wars. But what is your favorite? There you go. Ralph McQuarrie video. There you go. And let's see. Dang, autocorrect is my enemy. Yeah, that seems like it's mine too. It does. People, if you know me on Twitter, yeah, you guys know that I make a lot of mistakes. People have no idea how writing works. World building and storytelling are not easy to do. You can have a plan, but that doesn't mean that it cannot change which is not a cinnamon. Cinnamon. We're going into like fall flavor cinnamon. I know what you meant. I'm laughing at myself, you guys, because I'm funny of not having a plan. Right. That's correct. And like even with like Tolkien before his death, he was still changing up his story. He was still changing up like stories for certain characters, or didn't finish, but they were evolving still. So it's always evolving. The stories are always evolving. All right. Let's see here. Quote, "We must move quickly. The Wikipedia warriors are relentless." Quote unquote. Oh, damn. Soul Assassin says, "Not even an hour in the show and we got feet, safe space, and now Daisy Duke's mentioned." Now I got the song Daisy Duke in my head. Oh my God. Conrado says, it's like Square Enix hired Sweet Baby to censor Dragon Quest 3 and join my community. Thank you so much. Fun fact, I hate pumpkin spice. Oh, okay. So whenever you hear like all these pumpkin stuff when it comes to fall, you're like gagging, right? Wow. Do you not like pumpkin pie and stuff? I'm curious about that. I'm not saying it's blasphemy. I care a lot. I don't mind if you hate that stuff. Speaking of fall stuff, I hate pumpkin spice. Follow OG on Twitter. Yes. All right. So Lucas facts here again. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the chat here. Share with me on here or social media, probably Twitter X, which is the platform I use for my YouTube. Or you could share with me on Twitter X. I prefer that you go into our community page there. However, if you're not part of the community page, then share on regular Twitter and tag. But share share with me on here or social media your favorite Ralph McQuarrie concept art, and that is Star Wars. So go ahead and do that. I know it's easier to show the image than talk about it. I understand that. Come on, baby, kick them daisies. All right, so I had to sing that. All right, so Jim says apparently Ralph McQuarrie made the concept for Battlestar Galactica. Might explain why the Viper starfighter looks like that. It was designed by Incom. All right, so let's go ahead and move on into the lore here. So let me go ahead and remove this from the screen. All right. Come on, baby. Now I got that fucking song in my head. Damn it, you guys. Kick them daisies. Who remembers that? Am I showing my age? All right. Let's see here. Let's make the full screen here. All right. I thought I turned off my notifications from my phone. All right. There you go. All right. So we're getting into the book of Sith here. And like I said, books are like, depending on what they're about, the cover matters, right? So like I said, this one here looks like a history book that, is a leather hardcover kind of deal, something to pick up and look and research, through. So very brilliant with the concept of this. But however, like X-Wings, when you get into the X-Wing series, you want to see action on the front cover. All right. So going back to that. Always going back to the art of things, right? Let's see here. You guys are talking about pumpkin spice, scissor spice, of course. Ever since I talked about the scissor clan. Let's see here. And Silver says pumpkins are cool, especially jack-o'-lanterns, but pumpkin spice belongs in pumpkin pie alone. Pumpkin pie, pumpkin spice purist, right there. Let's see here. Let's see here. I was already typing it, ha ha ha, right? When hip hop was good, right? I agree with that. Oh my god, it's like hip hop rap back in the day. That was when it was amazing. You know, again, showing my age. You know, it's now called old school rap and hip hop, but that was the golden age of it, I guess you could say. Today, I'm not very much into it. I can do pumpkin pie. My wife goes away overboard on the pumpkin spice shit. I get it. And I don't know, is it a gender thing? You know, I hardly hear any men talking about wanting to have like pumpkin spice frappuccino, whatever, you know, whatever. The Scissor Fist clan is mini. Can't believe I know that damn rhythm tune. What's when that's when rap barely qualified as music. Ralph McCurry's Bounty Hunter and both battle picks would be my favorite. DM'd you them. Okay. All right. I'm gonna share his if you don't mind before we get into this. But one thing that when you talk, okay, so you guys, I've been on a David Bowie trip. I mean, I grew up with his music. I remember watching MTV and seeing Ashes to Ashes for the first time. Again, showing my age. But I was going through an interview of his, and this is going to go back to rap. And he was on he was doing an interview for MTV, and he was like, and this is when MTV was first coming out, all this other stuff, you know, very like hitting the scene, I guess you can say. And he questioned why they weren't putting Black artists on MTV and stuff. So he questioned that. And then so that was being questioned before all this the woke BS started happening today in modern age. Okay, so that was being, he's like, why aren't you showing these magnificent people's art, you know, Black people? All we see is what we're seeing here today. But I'm not going to get into the dynamics of that. But what I'm getting at is that he also was saying that you know, rap and stuff was brilliant. So that's from David Bowie. Again, I was going through, like, I've been going through a David Bowie trip, I guess you can say, and listening to all his past interviews and all his characters, his personas that he created for the stage, you know, his drug abuse that he did to kind of probably you know, when people get into addiction, it's to hide something of themselves, right? So all of that, his music, all the music, his brilliance on where he took music to as well. But anyways, this is not about that, but I'm going to go ahead and show Soul Assassin's stuff. His stuff. I'm going to show Soul Assassin's stuff. That doesn't sound right. I'm going to show his images. Let me see here. His images of Ralph McCurry art. All right. Okay, so poor Soul Assassin. It's like that's very vague. You're like, you're gonna show my stuff? What the hell? What? And then people are like, what the hell's going on? You know, him showing you his stuff. All right. So here's one of his favorites here. So this is on Endor, or this is on Hoth. So I mean, look at this. I mean, this is Ralph McCurry. And the brilliance of his visualization and talking with the man himself, George Lucas, and what he expected, what he wanted. Let me see if I can just, let's see here. And one more. Come on, I just want to show that. Oh, yeah. And of course, you got the bounty hunters. It's a little blurry here, but you have the bounty colors. Look at the choice of colors here. There are complementary colors and there's contrasting going on here. So complementary colors mean there's two colors complement each other, and so it makes the picture pop a little bit more. It doesn't look muddied and stuff like that. So just a little bit of history here. So there you go. Just a bit of his. Showing my stuff. Am I being pimped out or something? At least take me to Zeltros. I I know. Bad choice of words. I'm sorry. I'm like showing his stuff. That doesn't sound right. Didn't know Soul was kinky. Please talk about Sith already. Let's see. Scrawn. Okay. All right. We are getting ready to talk about all that. So let me go ahead and just close this out. Stop the screen. Let's share this. I'm going to go ahead and set back my Twitter to what I was going to talk about later on with you guys because I wanted to show something. Let's see here. Come on, baby, kick them daisies. Oh my God, that song's gonna it's killing me, Smalls. All right. Let me go ahead and set that back up. All right. All right. So everything's set back to where they're supposed to be. All right. So let's get into the Sith lore here. We're still talking about campaigns. So there's a lot of entries, but not as much as that there probably was from Malgus, as noted from the last time. Let me see here. Bowie as Darth Jareth would be pretty cool. Haha. You know what? We were talking about how Bowie would have been a good character in Star Wars because he is a natural actor and he basically embodies the character characters that he's played very well. But that's just me. That's just what I was thinking. Yeah, classic top tier N64 game for sure. Let's see here. And the one Ralph made showing a proto stormtrooper with a white lightsaber. Oh yeah. I think was used for Sator's Infinite Empire Troopers. Yes, I think that's they look back at all these concept arts and get ideas for stories and for images and stuff. It's amazing. I'm finally seeing this. Feel like I need to catch up on those episodes. Darth Jareth. All right, so let's get into this here. So if you have your Book of Sith, pick it up and turn to page 53. Well, actually 52. All right. So let's get into this. So this is Rim Campaign Day 179, Malgus. We will lose Ord Ramada if we are not resupplied. That fool Adreus is gone, slinking back to Dromod Kos to curry favor with the Dark Council. Meanwhile, Lord Vinimol and I are left here to carry our work, defending the city from agitators. Our numbers steadily dwindle. So this is them taking over, and a planet basically. All right. The essential quality of the force is conflict. Through conflict, the strong kill the weak and bring the living closer to perfection. So this is the concept of theirs. I'm going to read that again. This is the Sith concept of this. The essential quality of the Force is conflict. Through conflict, the strong kill the weak and bring the living closer to perfection. So imagine having that kind of, that's like a very dark side thought process, because you want to kill all those who are weak in the Force, weak in life, weak in abilities, to bring the living closer to perfection. That's fucking crazy, isn't that? The Sith Empire has served the Force by inciting conflicts. So that's another thing there. They are serving the Force by inciting conflict. But for true improvement to take place, I must at least give my soldiers a fighting chance against the enemies who seek to destroy them. The Ministry of Logistics is responsible for our resupply, but my influence was Minister Kamar had never been strong. She is a favorite of the Dark Council and rewards the needs of Dromod Kos above all others. Ooh, I gotta sneeze. Ooh. I instead have sent my request to War Minister Sheris, but have received no answer. So this underlined portion here that I'm reading on the page on the right It's basically, I think, what Luke put here. And here's his annotation. For what of a bolt the battle was lost. A general recon used to say, the free flow of supplies is critical to winning any war, Luke. So, he's kind of, sharing his point with him. Kind of crazy about that, right? Crazy, not about it, but crazy. Politics sicken me, Malgus says. Begging for resources from a bureaucrat is not fitting role for a Sith Lord. All such functionaries should be honored to do by my bidding and should scramble to see it done. So basically, that people should just, appeal to everyone and stuff, and in his command. For we Sith Lords are elevated above the non-force users who staff our galactic regime, but neither Minister Sheris nor his Grand Moffs can do anything for me if other Sith Lords have already placed claims on his resources. The glow lantern on the ration crate has dimmed to nearly nothing as I write these words. The rattling bursts of the cacophonizer shells have quieted into a far-off rumble. I think of you, Elena, as ever. The rage within me ignites when I think of how you have been kept from me. So his love. And there is, and I'm going to read Vader's annotation here at the bottom. So attachment such as this leads to loss and tragedy. I have tried to learn more, but the journals of Darth Malgus do not reveal the fate of his secret love. And that's from Vader. So imagine that, getting into that, because, the state of who he is because of his attachment, his love. All aliens are slaves under the Sith Empire. Every resource must be exploited when the cause is total victory. But you, Elena, have proved, or Elena, I don't know why I say Elena, have proven yourself a servant and a fighter, and perhaps or something more. When I have achieved all I envision, I will have my companion I wish. Not even the Emperor would dare command otherwise. So if you guys know his story, you know who he's talking about, and the picture is right there on the page. And I know you guys were talking about Bowie. Let me see what he says. Soul Assassin says, Bowie would have been a character voice. In my opinion, he'd probably be Captain Torpal, or Michael Jackson would be Jar Jar if he got in the role. Yeah, that's true. That would have been something to see. Let's see, Bowie wasn't tall, but when young, he was angular enough to have been a decent Thrawn. Yeah, he like his structured, his bone structure of his face and stuff like that. Yeah. Bowie looks tall because he's lanky, but I've never looked into how tall he is. But let's get back to this. So those who know Elena, basically, if you know the lore behind Malgus and stuff like that, there's her image on the thing here. So we know that they had something. They had a relationship, I guess you can say. And then Silver says Jackson would have made Jar Jar cool in addition to funny. Just imagine him doing a moonwalk. Just imagine Jar Jar doing a moonwalk. Doing something, and all of a sudden you see him like step in the poodoo, and then he moonwalks to scrape it off or something like that. That just popped in my head. I swear to God, that just popped in my head. Jackson, Jar Jar moonwalking the poodoo off his foot in the Phantom Menace in Mos Eisley, or Mos Espa. Sorry, was it Mos Eisley or Espa? I forget which one they were. Anyways, so let's get into the second portion here, or the other portion. Let's see here. There we go. All right. All right, here we go. So Rim campaign day 215 Malgus, 215 Malgus. So again, if you guys want to comment on any events that he's journaling about, especially if you know his story, all of that, share it in the comment. Let's build conversation, because I'm reading this to kind of give you guys an insight about these Sith campaigns here and how they're taking over, how they wanted to take over and rule and stuff and conquer all of this. And also what like Sidious, Luke, and Vader and all them are saying as they annotate in the book as well. So please share so we can create more conversation. This is what this is about. Now, once we get after we're done with the campaign, we're going to get into the rule of two. So that's going to get into more historical, we're going to get the power of the Sith, the mistakes of the Rusan, and the title of Darth. We're going to get into all of that. The thought bomb is going to be involved in that. All of that, striking from the shadows, basically, selecting apprentice, all of that. We're going to get into the meat and potatoes about the rule of two and how it was created, which we'll get into Bane and all those predecessors. All right, so let's get into this here. And again, share. I don't mind. Share. This is what this CAF chat's about, the conversation, right? And even if it goes back to Bowie or anything else that we discussed here before this, share. It's, this is our time to sit nerd and talk about like the topics that are going on right now. And if you're catching the replay, share still. Okay. So disaster. We have abandoned Ord Ramada. Venimal is dead, and so is the Legion troops under my command. My resupplies never arrived. No doubt Minister Saris felt Lord Adras or some other dilettante should be well armed for another needless inspection tour. Though his incompetence, the Empire is losing its hold on the systems we have only just secured. Imbeciles, all of them. I hear that even the Mandalorian blockades is crumbling because of the two smuggler allied with the Republic. If the Hadean Way is reopened, the trickle of Republic reinforcements that retook Ord Ramada will become a flood. The Battle of Ord Ramada was not lost on the ground. Venimal and I could have held the capital city indefinitely, armed with only our lightsabers. But in orbit overhead, we had only the dreadnought Lindworm and two Harrower battle cruisers. And so this now Sidious underlines this. You could tell because it's his color of ink he's using, and I have a hard time reading his writing, so bear with me. Imperial Star Destroyers are similar to the Harrowers and shall be my tools of discipline among the rebellious systems of the Rim, and that's from Sidious. And do you think the MCU is a victim of its own success? I don't know. They're going through their own BS too, right? Let's see. Even in the Sith Empire, politics always cause more problems than it solves. Yep, exactly. Vader agreed with Malgus that there are a few problems that the lightsaber can't solve. Unfortunately, says Amidala isn't one. Yeah, I shared that quote. I shared his quote on Twitter last night on that. All right. In opposition, 4 Republic Hammerhead class cruisers and 10 Thuranta class corvette dropped from hyperspace. They broadsided the Lindworm with a turbo laser barrage before she could launch her starfighters. From the balcony of the palace in Levian Magnus, I saw the flashes of orbital combat as the comm erupted with static and anxious chatter. I boarded my shuttle, ordering Captain Karm to take me up to the Lindworm, where I could assume command. The captain performed with characteristic skills, evading the Republic's Auric fighters and making a hard landing in the Lindworm's ventral bay. But by the time the turbo lift got me to the bridge, I could see the battle was lost. Now that's the thing, and this goes to it, like Sith don't really not only they fight for who's going to be in control, but in the sense too that's in that's in the dynamics of communications on supplies. And so it's more than just, wanting to control physically and being the leader. It goes into psychology and all of that. So that's what we're learning here too as well. And then so on the bottom, Luke annotates, the rebels relied on pinpoint hyperspace jumps to ambush Imperial fleets. In some ways, decisions are similar when you're outnumbered and outgunned. And that's from Luke Skywalker. The Sith bureaucrats are busy with their Sith taxes with the lightsaber-shaped pin. All right, let me see here. And read my tweet, save the side joke for the stream. All right. One of our Harwars gushed flames as it let loose a rain of escape pods. The other Howard lay fatally stricken, its guts torn loose by a clutter of proton torpedoes. I could do nothing to halt this fall into Ord Ramada's gravitational pull. Minutes later, its impact at the center of Livian Magnus. So there you go. So he's discussing this whole scenario right here. And there's a picture here, and I wanted to share images, but I didn't pull them up last night because I'm going to show you this here. I'm going to bring it back up. I'm not trying to change subject. This is still going into here. My plan on is for like CAF chat and any live streams, whenever I'm going to put up any kind of fact or anything, I want to have a visual for you guys with text in it and stuff to streamline the show. So I was putting all this together. So, and as I was putting all that together, I was like, should I bring up images, of Malgus and all of this that we're talking about? And I'm like, you know what, right now it's almost bedtime. I'm just going to stick to my regular plan for my PowerPoint here. And, these images that I'm creating. And as I go along, every CAF chat will get more streamlined with images, with text, with, showing you guys, as well as speaking of the topics that we're doing. So that's just me. That's just me with attention to details as an artist. So there you guys go. But this image here, right here, that I'm getting at, I wish I could have done something that was more in color or larger or whatever. And it's the wounded Harward that begins its descent down onto the planet. So it's getting pulled down by the gravitational well. Basically, it's pulling it down to the planet surface. At that instant, I felt Venimal had 100,000 other life forms roar with pain and then fell silent. So basically he felt, the death that, and we know that's something because we've seen that with Obi-Wan feeling and all that when Alderaan was planet was destroyed. And then Vader says, through the Force, anguish can carry great power. The strength of my scream buckled the bridge's transparent steel viewport and left the crew's ears bleeding. More gratifying, my rage overload the fuel slugs of an incoming wave of Oryx. The bright burst of their deaths raised a smile. So just imagine that, his voice piercing and destroying, breaking transparent steel, all of that. Nothing could be gained by remaining in the star system. I ordered the dazed navigator to maneuver the Lindworm behind the ion minefield and to take the jump into the heart of Sith space. Woo, that's a lot going on there. A lot going on there. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? His Magnus's power and all this other stuff, and him, like talking about the bureaucracy of the Sith and how that's not serving them. And you can kind of see the evolution of Sith just from him and what he's describing in these scenarios in his journaling. And then once we get to the, and once we go towards the Brotherhood of Darkness, the Rule of Two and stuff, you can kind of see the evolution. And then once we get through into the Rule of Two and we get towards Darth Plagueis, more or less Sidious and Vader, you can kind of see that kind of deconstructing into something that might be something new, right? And then once we get into 100 years or so past that, you have the one Sith. And again, we talked about the one Sith. We talked about Darth Krayt like a few months ago. So just the evolution of the Sith, whereas when Yoda was contemplating on the events of what happened with the Jedi Purge, the Jedi falling at the end of Clone Wars, and he realized that they, as Jedi, failed to evolve, I guess you could say, failed to grow, failed to, evolve, basically. You know, while the Sith laid in the shadows, evolving and studying the Jedi, their weaknesses, and looking at them like, oh, wow, they're not doing anything. They're still carrying on and training and all this, 1,000 years out. So he's seen the failures of that, and so once Luke was born, he's seen it that Luke was going to evolve the Jedi into something new. So let me see here. Malgus a libertarian, right? Quite the shift in beliefs and goals for every Sith era. Yes, I agree. Oof. They better pay their Sith tax. The Sith bureaucrats are busy with... Oh, yeah, I read that one. Yeah, so let me see here. I love how you're laughing at that. All right, so I doubt the Sith will ever be as military power as Malgus era. Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't think you really see that, because once you get into like even the Brotherhood of Darkness and stuff, it's more or less... I mean, they do have their army. Don't get me wrong. They do have that. But it's quite different. It's like you could see the difference in that. And you know what? And this goes back to like the video that I shared, like I share on here of Matt Wilkins talking and how well, despite its errors, how well the EU is put together. And this is proof, because we're discussing the evolution of the Sith. That this is in itself proof how well the EU is put together. It's amazing. All right. So let's get on with this. All right. Rim campaign day 221. Malgus 221. The Republic pursued us. The Mandalorian blockade has now fully crumbled. The enemy fleet has penetrated Imperial space. The Republic made a strike at Korriban, though they have threatened that the world far too many times for me to consider it their true target. So it was expected when their fleet jumped, but it is now gathered before Ziost. So they're attacking the Sith worlds here. But just imagine Korriban. Hi there, Rodimus Prime. How you doing? So imagine Korriban and all of its embedded, imbued alchemy within the planet. Its dark side presence is very strong there. So I don't think that the Republic could ever take over Korriban, and probably Ziost too. Because if the Jedi can barely go there, like I pointed this out the last CAF chat, if the Jedi, like Luke's campaign in Fate of the Jedi, could barely withstand the dark side presence and all the alchemist kind of creatures and all of that, and you have to be very strong in the light side to hold ground. Like, he had to strategically pick the people he needed to go with him based upon their strengths, right? So the Republic would never, ever be able to take over Korriban, let alone Ziost, probably Ziost too. Like Ben had his he got stranded on Ziost in Legacy of the Force. And that there was a trip for him, basically. Like he had some crazy visions and stuff going on there and stuff, whatever. But they would simply be consumed. They would be dead. They would be butchered. They would be consumed by the dark side. So I don't think like so they can do like strikes on these planets, but that's not that they would never ever be able to take control of these planets, the Republic whatsoever. And I think that's the reason why Luke like when Luke created the new Jedi Order, you know, he brought the Jedi back and stuff, why he had the coordinates to those planets taken out of the star maps, basically. That could be one reason. It's not really fully explained other than that those are Sith worlds and stuff like that. But you see the danger. He knows the dangers of those worlds. So something to think about there. All right, so let's get into this. All right. Let's continue to get into this. Our situation is dire and victory hinges on space superiority. The Republic's capital ships have not broken our defensive line, but their small starfighters have easily slipped through our screen. The Battle of Ziost will be won by the pilots. And Vader goes here. Interesting that ship-to-ship combat played a critical role. Even then, starfighters can outmaneuver capital ships and exploit their weaknesses. Yep, and that's what the rebels shared with, you know, against the Death Star. And Luke says, the rebellion used the same strategy. The Empire outnumbered us, but we had better pilots. And it's interesting to see Vader and Luke's like annotations next to each other right there, you know, because we know who Vader is. We already know who he is. That's Luke's father. That's Anakin. But both of them talking similarly about starfighters and how it benefits their campaigns, basically, right? And Luke and Anakin both being like one of the best star pilots, you know, in the galaxy. You know, and I will say the best non-force user star pilot, I think, is Wedge Antilles. So that's my thought. All right, so let's get on here. The ISF Sith and Interceptor. So that's a nice picture there, very similar to the TIE fighters and stuff. All right. Daily skirmishes take place in orbit and in the atmosphere. And each time, a few of the Republic's fastest interceptors and heavy bombers make it through our defense to the treetops of Ziost. We have lost vital cannon batteries and weapons arsenals. Again, like I said, even if they were to take over the planet, eventually the planet, the dark side, all of that would, you know, overcome them. Our only protection against the aggression is the skill of our Imperial pilots and the superior technology of our starfighters. Our ISF interceptors are lightweight and maneuverable, but though the interceptors are optimal for high-speed dogfighting, our B-28 starfighters fill the firepower gap with their heavy armament. Our Fury class interceptors, and this is a great read. If you don't have this book here, this is a great read to like learn more about these different starfighters in this time frame of history in Star Wars. Our Fury class interceptors act as heavy transports, patrolling the borders of the fray to pick off any ships that tries to make a break for the surface. Darth Angral believes we are evenly matched with the Republic and that we have arrived at the impasse. He is requisitioning more naval vessels from Dromod Koss. I have urged caution. A Jedi commander skilled in battle meditation could link warships and starfighters into single mind, and the Jedi have other tricks that could turn the tide in their favor. And this is the annotation from Luke. Hearing about those old models is fascinating. As far as I know, no flyable relics still exist. Too bad, because I'd love to put one through its paces. And that's from Luke. He's like, yeah, I want my hand on one of those things. I want to pilot one of those things. Let me see here what you guys are saying. Oh, gee, where can I get this book? I think you might be able to find it on thriftbooks.com. It's called the Star Wars Book of Sith. Let me see here. I bet Palpatine and Plagueis used some of the old Sith designs for inspiration for the Republic's army. And that's what I'm thinking too, because you see the similarities. Kind of mocking the Jedi in a way, but making them use ships and weapons based on Sith designs. That's a good thought right there. Very good thought. The planet is bad to the bone. Yep. There you go. And Matt G, Taylor Swift greater than Disney Star Wars. How are you doing? Welcome to CAF Chat. Let me see here. Where am I at? And this is the last one. Yeah. So campaign 258 will be next week. We'll finish all this up and then we'll get into the rule of two. The rule of two. So we'll have the rest of these campaigns to get into and then the rule of two. So if you if you don't have the Book of Sith and you want to follow along, I think Thrift Books might have them. You might find them in search, just your search engine, and pick up the book for next week. It's for a follow along. Let's see what you guys are saying. The Book of Sith, Book of Jedi, the Bounty Hunter Code, and Smuggler Handbook, etc. Yeah. Let's see here. And let me scroll up further, see if you guys are saying anything here. The Jedi Temple is creepier as the abandoned piece of mess, not Sidious' new home. All right. So what do you guys think? So is Malgus one of your guys' favorite Sith? Who is your favorite Sith of this time frame? Let me know. Who is your favorite Sith? Your favorite Sith of this time frame? Let me know in the chat. I'm almost done with my coffee. No, we can't have this. I am almost done with my coffee. Who is your favorite Sith? I'm gonna leave that here. And before we get into some topics that we're going to discuss, like I said, we're going to talk about men's safe space. What does that mean? And why are people now using that term, that wokeified term, I guess you can say. All right. And let's see. But first of all, Darth Mar. Okay. First of all, let's go ahead and have you guys refresh your drinks. We'll get into a nice commercial and we'll segue into Book of the Week.
I have fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure at this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.
I hate to say it, but it looks like the item you're searching for doesn't exist.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
All right. So you heard what the lady said. And so the Book of the Week, I'm going to read something about it here, and then I'll share what it is. Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader are dead. The Empire has been toppled by the triumphant Rebel Alliance, and the New Republic is ascendant. But the struggle against the dark side is not over. Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, Lando Calrissian, and their faithful comrades have little time to savor victory before being called on to defend a newly liberated galaxy from the powerful remnants of the vanquished Empire. The most deadly of these, a legion of black armored stormtroopers, do the brutal bidding of the newly risen warlord Shadow Spawn, committing acts of piracy and terrorism against the fledgling New Republic. Another reign of darkness under the Sith is something General Luke Skywalker cannot and will not risk. Mobilizing the ace fighters of Rogue Squadron, Luke, Han, and Leia set out to take the battle to the enemy. But their imminent attack on Mindor will be playing directly into the hands of their cunning new adversary. And so it kind of gave away when I said Mindor. Shadows of Mindor here. So this book is a 50-50. Some people like it, some people hate it. And I know why, and we'll get into that. So the author is Matthew Stover. Cover artist is Dave Seeley. It was published hardcover December 2008, paperback November 2009. And so here's some notes about this. And this is where I'm going to get into where some people may not care for it. So this is the notes from the author. In addition to being a rousing adventure, Shadows of Mentor is deliberately postmortem reminiscence of the authenticity, and that's my error right there, of heroic accounts. The novel acknowledgement that Star Wars heroes live in a galaxy of stories where their exploits are collaborated as legendary tales. The story's finale purposely suggests that the entire account may be a dramatized telling of a less than reliable, ultimately biased storyteller. So if you have read the story, you would know that Luke is questioning his role as a Jedi in a sense, when it comes to bringing the Jedi back and as a hero and stuff, and that what the Republic is showing on their holo dramas and stuff is very exaggerated stories about him and Han and stuff like that. And he wanted to clear the story about them and how he's human, how he makes mistakes, all of this other stuff. So that's the premise of the story as well. And I think this is where people frown on the story, is because it makes Luke look like he's almost like Jake Skywalker in The Last Jedi. I have heard people compare that to this. But he's just coming to terms of who he is, and that he wants people to see him as a human, not a legendary story or a legend, and stuff like that. Not to glorify actions, because even heroes make mistakes and stuff like that. Now, what's interesting that Lord Shadow Spawn and some of these characters, they did come in from different sources. And so I decided to put notes about the books that are having book of the week, and then also sources, like where did they get inspiration from? Where did some of the characters and some of the story plots come from? Because again, the EU, is a one long storyline, right? So basically, some of these characters, these callback to characters, came from different sources, and the story was inspired by research and so forth. So sources are Star Wars newspaper strip 1979, Weston Games Game Master Screen for second edition 1992, Dark Empire's Weston's Game Source Book 1993, and the Emperor's Pawns article basically in 2001. So these were some resources that Matthew Stover pulled upon to create the story, bringing characters in from some of those like the newspaper strips and stuff like that, and from the Emperor's Pawn as well. So here you go. So book of the week, Shadows of Mindor. Let's see what you guys have to say. And here you go. Here, Shadow Mindor full audio. There you guys go. If you want to listen to the full audio and you don't have time to read, or you get busy and you don't mind listening to audiobooks as you work, as you're busy, there you go. Thank you. And the EU is longer than One Piece. Let's see here. I could fix her empire. Great segment. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Does the Sith Warrior of the Republic game, the one you play, count? Sure, why not? So there you go. So we have, oh my God, so you have two Darth Maul going on here. All right. So there you go, the book of the week. Like I said, I want to have I want to have a visual for you guys like I created here with some facts about the book of the week. And I can't wait till we get more into this where I can share what George Lucas's involvement as well. So again, this is from Matthew Stover. May not be one of his more brilliant write-ups, but this one is a lot better than some others. But again, this is a mixed bag for everybody. What do you think? Have you read this book? And if you haven't, give it a chance. People say, oh, I heard the series or the story is bad. Give it a chance, because we are all different individuals with different likes and takes. And I may like something Soul Assassin may not like. I like Kenobi book, the Kenobi novel, and Greg doesn't. So there you go. So, you have to make your own decisions on this. All right. Let's get into this. In the Darth Plagueis novel, it was explained that it was Plagueis and Palpatine who were the ones caused the imbalance and needed to be destroyed. Yeah. There you go. So Shadows of Mindor. Shadows of Mindor. All right. So let's get into some of these topics. We're not getting to Cringe Factor just yet, but I did mention the topic that has been on social media for the last couple of days, and it's about safe space for men. Now, guys, like majority of you guys are men in the chat. Do you feel you need a franchise as a safe space for you? But we do have to get into it. Oh, Soul Assassin's telling on me. Oh, she's not a fan of Darth Treya yet. I am a fan of hers. Go figure. Yeah, I don't care. I get her concept. I respect the concept, but she's not my favorite whatsoever. So do men need a safe space for anything? But are franchises like Star Wars a safe space for men? Sailor tattooing. What do you think about that? So let's get into this. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen here. Safe spaces for men. And you have to protect your safe space from women. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that like this conversation went from, and I'll show you what it came from so you guys can kind of know. Here it is. Clicking on it. So this lady, Danisha Carter, she is commenting on men's mental health matters, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get into that, but she comments on here. And this is where this whole thing that franchises are a safe space for men and women are taking over. We need our safe space kind of talk. And these are people too that you would think are quote unquote on our side of this, pop culture, civil war kind of thing going on, I guess you can say. But she goes on to say, if men's mental health mattered to men, they'd be creating safe spaces for themselves and each other. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? Pursuing therapy and creating communities. Instead, they perpetuate the very behavior systems that have handicapped them in the first place. Refuse to support or create community amongst each other. Okay, so I don't think she gets men in general. Men are less drama oriented than women. Men, even when they disagree, they can joke and laugh about it, and they're still comrades, right? So if you're in the same place with a man and stuff, you guys are automatically, I've noticed this as a woman, you guys get along far better than women in groups. So she's applying tactics, I guess you can say, that maybe are more fit for a woman's psyche than a man's psyche. I don't know if you guys agree with me. Again, majority of you guys are men in the chat. And okay, so let's see here. Refuse to support and create community amongst each other. Several severely damage the women in their lives who can care for them. So is she projecting her own experience? And if she is, I feel so sorry for you, sweetheart. And attack women online for not doing the work for them in replies to tweets like the one below. Now, the climate of men, because we went through a period of men are toxic, masculinity is toxic. So shaming men for being men and how they're genetically structured, and genetically means hormones as well. So shaming a man for being a man because, toxic masculinity bullshit, was a thing like a couple of years ago. So we went through that. And now now that men are now quote unquote dumbed down because and rewired are mentally rewired, brainwashed and stuff because they don't want to be they don't want to be the toxic masculine man, right? Now they're too soft or what? I don't know where this woman's going at with this, but this is the beginning of the safe space talk. So let's get into this here. This is what I seen after. So this is from the Sheepsiden. I hope I said that right. And so great men create video games, men create comics, men create Star Wars, men go to the gym. Our quote unquote safe space, quote unquote therapy, and quote unquote community tends to have a repeating factor. So he's saying, oh, women evade it, women change it, what have you. Now, there are creators of both genders that are destroying these quote unquote safe spaces for men. And Kennedy's not solely responsible for Star Wars. Iger, too, and Chapek at the time, Filoni. So there's always a man, too, behind the deconstruction of these quote-unquote safe spaces, are basically the franchises that these men like this guy are saying is a safe space or therapy or community. Now, I like the community term, but community term he's still excluding allies to the cause. And that's women in these communities. And, like some of the best comic artists that I love is like Jan Durasima. I think I said her last name wrong. I apologize. So it's not that, and some of the best Star Wars content are by women. Women and men both go to gym. That's just a human nature. If they want to take care of themselves, it's not a safe space or therapy or community just for men. And I don't know too much about video game history to say how many women creators are in that. So I can't really say anything about that. However, women to play, read, get involved with, and work out in any of these factors that this guy says. Now let's get into what I said. All right, I'm going to see what you guys are saying in the chat first. Let the toxic flow. Let the toxicity flow through you. DEISESG Yoda female. The force is. Anita is ground zero for DEISG virus. Well, I wouldn't say she's ground zero. It's the companies that bring it in. It's a company that's the companies that bring it in. And a lot of these companies are head up by men, right? Men are welcome to women. Go to a comic, game, or toy store, and dudes will help a woman guy out. Correct. Let's see here. Was going to sympathize with Purist pumpkin spice problem, but he said real men don't need safe space. I guess he's on his own. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Keanu Reeves is lucky he's not an acolyte and plays Shadows of the Hedgehog in the movie. All right, let's see here. Safe space are for pussies, like live dangerous. Let's see here. This is one of the many contradictions of feminism, because they say men are toxic, yet they want women to be like men and reject anything connected to femininity. Correct. Right on the nail there, buddy. Not until a few years ago when woke feminists took over and started changing the franchises to fit their narratives that mostly men bad. Yeah, but the thing is too, is that was under the guise of the boss. And the like Kennedy, for example, her boss is Iger and Chapek at the time, and they're the ones are in control of the foundation of the companies. She just has to enact it, right? She just has to enact it for Lucasfilm. Been going through some of old Marvel comics. Dave Filoni plagiarized the Purgle from Uncanny X-Men 156. Wow. Okay, I see. I don't know much about that. Like X-Men and stuff like that. So okay, the space whales, they could even travel the speed of light. Wow. All right. So let me get into this bit here. And I've had a little bit pushback. A little. A lot of people agreed with me. And I said, I can't believe we are now defensively arguing about safe space for men when that would be considered woke speak. And men never shunned, nor did we need permission to participate. And I'm talking about women. Men never shunned women, nor did women need permission to participate in any areas shared below. And that's my point. These franchises, and we'll just talk about franchises because comics fall in and games fall into these franchises, not the gyms. I will leave the gym out of there because the gym, I don't know why he put that in there. That is something that is both man and women oriented thing because it's about the body. So these franchises, they may appeal majority to men when it comes to like Star Wars, and I'll just put like what I grew up with, Thundercats, He-Man, all of that. But I grew up with them. That's things I loved watching every morning. It's I love sci-fi and fantasy. So Star Wars and even Star Trek is something that I watched with my grandmother. The majority of family members are mostly female in my family. And we all loved what is quote unquote male-oriented franchises. Why? Because it appeals to everyone. Especially Star Wars. The premise, even though it appeals it's like the appeal, the favoritism, I guess you could say, because of the structure of it and stuff like swords, lightsabers, whatever, are geared towards boys and men's. Women, are also fascinated with that stuff, and I think it goes to stereotypes that women want soft fantasies and, like My Little Ponies and what have you. But there are boys I knew that I grew up with that were fascinated with My Little Ponies for whatever reason. No, they didn't turn out gay. So since when was like a franchise like Star Wars a safe space for men? And since when did I need permission to participate in these safe spaces? That's the question here. And why is this being said now? And it's all in conjunction to that first tweet that I shared with you. And it goes into the culture war. It goes into pop culture and how we're seeing it's being destroyed. But then again, with tweets like this that I shared, it alienates your allies. It alienates women like me fighting against what's being done to these franchises, right? But then why are we using this woke speak now? And I've had someone tell me on Twitter, oh, well, we're using their words against them. That is, the safe space, I'm sorry, it's idiotic term. It is. Don't use an idiotic term in defense against these guys. Turning frogs gay. My Little Apocalypse Pony, if you all know, you know. Oh, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Let's see here. Sorry, G, the gym was invented by ancient Greeks. It means naked, only adult males were allowed. Well, if you know Greek history, and I forgot which, was it Athens? I forgot which city in Greece, but women participated and they had to be just as athletic and stuff like that. So that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That's back in the day. And it doesn't mean we are living that time frame today. I seen a woman being into comics, tabletops, and other nerd stuff was like seeing a unicorn to us. Honestly, it was like an angel descending from the sky. We don't hate having women in our safe spaces. But see, why are you using the term safe spaces? Because it was never a safe space. It was never. It was just a franchise that everybody loved, everybody talked about, and stuff like that. Women were highly involved in it as well. And so why, and that's my question. I'm questioning the term safe spaces. Why are we using that stupid, idiotic, generic, not when say generic, woke term? 100% soul assassin, toxic masculinity, emasculation, gender confusion, women on the front lines, estrogen in processed foods. Oh my God. Speaking of that, I had a back and forth with a guy who's taken estrogen because he said he has too much testosterone in his body. I'm not shitting you. And he was complaining about his tits hurting. I'm not shitting you guys. Okay. Anyways, let's see what you have to say at the bottom. I'm scrolling back down. Sparta. Thank you so much, Sparta. There we go. Yeah, he's pretty based. Let's see here. Young boys do need male space, like Boy Scouts, Scouts and sports, especially when they don't have real men in their lives. But the example people are giving aren't male spaces. No, they're not. Spartan women were expected to be physically fit like the men to run the house and were valued to their strength and toughness. Now, yes. So with that, do you think Karen Travis was inspired by the Spartan culture for Mandalorians? Just the thought process here, just correlating those two, like they're very similar, right? Because a woman is like they in a sense they didn't have gender roles, and their language mirrored that. So women had to be just as tough, work hard just as men, fight alongside men, all that in the Mandalorian culture. And I think it was Captain Fordo, aka Mandalore, who did a video about that, and he referred back to Spartans too. So that's something to think about. That's something to think about if you want to get into like influences from, you know, these writers and stuff. Let's see here. I know it's just that the argument's sake, that's why the quotation marks. Okay. I actually don't use a term because makes my skin crawl. Yeah, I know it does. That's why I question it. I'm like, why are you using this? It's so awful. It's like, I mean, I sure use their own tactics against them, but pick and choose too, because some of this stuff is like just so cringy and it just makes you look just as bad. That's how I'm seeing this. OG, I'm thinking about getting the Star Wars Archives book. Is it worth it? The Star Wars Archives, which one? Is it the Essential Reader's Guide? Let's see here. I don't know that. Oh, let me see here. Historical influence of Mandalorians. There you go. Thank you so much. You're so friggin' amazing. I just love you, Soul Assassin. All right, so I'm going to pull up another article here. Let me go ahead and just remove this because I don't want to share everything that's going on my Twitter. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up another one and it'll go into what you said, what you guys were saying about boys need their safe, quote unquote, safe spaces when it comes to sports and stuff like that. All right. So and this is the breakdown and I will share it with you. Okay. I should have just clicked on his link first. So this is one here. This is Brockus the Viking Orc. So women invaded every hobby and male-specific spaces we had. The Boy Scouts are the scouts now, for fuck's sake. So I kind of get his point on the Boy Scout thing, whatever. But I also expand a little bit on this why, you know, about roles in cultures. We aren't allowed to have a space for us. And this selfish bitch knows it. And so he's not, he didn't. Oh, he's referring to this one right here. And I don't mind women wanting to be in our hobbies. And see, this is like him saying, oh, you have to have our permission, or, you know, you have to, you know, he's creating these terms here. And he's claiming these franchises and stuff and hobbies as only for men, when in fact they appeal to everyone. That's why there are women who like them, because the initial ones don't want to change it. So saying like women like me don't want to change it. And it goes back to what I was saying, that, for example, we'll use Kennedy again. Yeah, she is the head, she's the president of Lucasfilm, but her boss is a man, right? So it's not just women that are coming in and destroying these properties. There's men in there, like Filoni as well. They loved it as it was, but when all our shit got super popular in the last 15 years, suddenly it all had to change for the new, quote unquote, new fans and their personal tastes. Yeah, but it's not just gender specific. Oh my God. You know what I mean? On who's changing it. It's not women that are changing it. It's the men influence within these properties that are changing it. They stopped being a safe, quote unquote, safe space for men and boys, and became a pile of shit for what once was. So let me go back to what I said here. All right, so this goes into culture specifics, there we go, regarding to the Boy Scouts. And I'm not saying I'm gonna go and shove my way in and teach boys and stuff like that. I'm just sharing that it's not like being outdoorsy, hunting, all this stuff is not just boy specific. I could teach Boy Scouts, not due to invading their specific space, due to my cultural teachings is to be self-sufficient. Hunting, skinning, harvesting, setting up camp, survival skills. So in my culture, especially back pre-colonization or settlement, whatever term you're going to use. Hi, Toby. How are you doing? Toby's like right in my face as I'm talking to you guys. Men did the hunting, but women had to know how to hunt, because sometimes we sent men out to hunt and we still had to survive. Just like men had to learn how to cook and stuff, because when they go out to hunt and leave the camps and stuff like that, they have to be self-sufficient, right? So we knew how to hunt and stuff. But when we did big hunting parties, like for example, buffalo, women, after the kill and the herd has moved along and we're going to the killed buffalo for the buffalo that were killed, women were responsible for skinning the hide, quartering the meat, and all this other stuff. We are also responsible for putting up our homes. We are the home keepers in the homes. We are the owner of the homes. So in traditional times, if a man and woman split up, the woman kept the home, the man moved on. So there's those different structures there. So what I'm getting at is like, it's not just specifically, and maybe for some cultures, I don't know, I can't speak for Caucasian or white culture for your, back in the days before, influences with Christianity and evolution and stuff like that, what the roles of women were. I can't speak to that. I can only speak to my culture, right? And then, so I'm going to go on with this. Though no one is saying you can't create your own place to enjoy what you like, the properties are exclusive to the properties aren't exclusive just to men. I forgot to put aren't. If so, then I would have been prohibited as a child to get involved with Star Wars, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, and more. And then I quoted him here, quote, I don't mind women to be in our hobbies because the initial ones don't want to change it. And then I put on, no one needs your permission. They aren't just your hobbies. We love it, but not due to privilege of being allowed to by men. The properties are open to men and women. And then I go on to say, these changes are not just by women, but by men creators too. So to put fault on one specific gender is a bad faith statement. And then I quoted him here, they stopped being a safe space for men and boys and became a pile of shit that once was. And I said, and I followed up with, they were never a safe space or considered one for any specific gender. So that's my take on that. So I don't know if you guys agree or what have you, but I just wanted to share this. What are we coming to with using the same woke statements against people here? And how does it make us look? Should we choose wisely on how we counter with their own logic? Let me see what you guys are saying. We still got to get into cringe factor. I'm going to be purchased them. Oh, okay. You guys are talking about that. There's another one that covers it on OT as well. Okay, you guys are talking about other stuff. Okay. Unless you want boys growing up by joining gangs to be around males or wearing dresses or men buns as adults, they need to be boys around boys where female teachers can't mess them up. Well, that also depends on the attention of the female teacher. You're lumping women together when like women like me, like I could teach my kids how to be self-sufficient and stuff like that. Let's see here. And purists, yeah, both are really good people. Let me see here. Davalorians are not Mandalorians. I agree. The problem is that men are now very defensive because we get demonized, and I get that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be defensive. 27 by the majority of media, and this can lead to make some mistakes like this one. And what I will get is that while men are being demonized, I guess you could say, I'm using your word, women are being tokenized, and that's fucking frustrating. It makes me frustrated. We are being tokenized because we are not allowed in these properties, right? So they're saying that women were excluded from these properties. We were never, and that's my point. And then you have people commenting on the very thing, kind of going with the statement that women shouldn't be in these properties. See what I'm saying here? So their counter to being demonized is now alienating women who these properties are saying we were alienized before. See how this is going? Crazy, right? So we have to think and pick and choose our defense wisely, in a sense. I get protecting these properties because they're something we love and we grew up with. And I get that they appealed more to boys and men than women or girls. Yet they're not specifically just for a single gender. And that's the point here. And we got to pick our defense wisely when countering something like this. Yeah, boys need father influences on strength, heroism, and what it means to be men. They used to be told stories of heroes to films, games, whatever, hence why they're changing everything. Yes, I agree. And you guys have some great points. Like I said, majority of you guys in my chat are men. And I get what you're saying. And hopefully you guys get the point I'm making here too. Is like, I'm not trying to say you are less worthy of or whatever. I'm saying that we need to unite and pick our words wisely to make it look like we're not falling into their trap, I guess you can say. And the term safe space is like kind of like, it sounds just as bad it being said on our side versus there. Choose the words wisely. Okay, let's see here. Any latchkey kids in the chat basically grew up on home because parents always worked. Probably. I think there's a lot of them out there. These people aren't in any way pop culture capable, and they blame it on others. All pop culture must be remade in their own moronic and perverse preferences. Let's see here. Yes, ultimately, men and women are not enemies or rivals. We are complementary, and we need each other. Correct. And that's the thing too. And so, like I said, like there's going to be a minority when it comes to more, female centric franchises and stuff. And then there's going to be vice versa. There's going to be the opposites and stuff. And I've argued that with Star Wars, yes, there's majority male involved, but it's not overwhelmingly male as we think. It's over 50%, like 65% or so, but it's nearly half. But the percentage mostly goes to male, over half. And I've been back and forth with this, and I looked up statistics. And yeah, so with Star Wars, because Star Wars has the appeal of the hero's journey and it has the relatable characters, and then it has like the relatable female characters like Leia. And then when you get into the EU, you have the more relatable female characters and arcs and stuff like that. So over half for men, but women fall near half, if that makes sense. Like a 60-35 or 60-40 or 65-35 or whatever. I grew up on them streets. All right, so let's get into cringe factor. So I just wanted to, just touch bases with you guys on this and share my thoughts on this right here, on what's going on and what I've been encountering or seeing on Twitter and the use of these terms. It's like, let's throw the shit back at them, but let's pick what words we're going to use wisely, and also realize, is safe space really a term we're going to use to throw back at them? And how does that make us look? How does that make us look? So with that being said, if you guys need to refill your drinks, we're going to go into cringe factor now. We're going to go over the time frame, which is fine, but we're going to get into cringe factor. But first of all, let's get into this commercial.
The fate of the galaxy is now in your hands. With the new LEGO Star Wars Slave One, you can load Captain Solo, arm your weapon systems, man the cockpit, and take off with the most feared ship in the galaxy. But watch out for rebel ships. No matter the enemy, no matter the firepower, you control the action. With the new LEGO Star Wars collection.
All right, so let's get into our cringe factor now.
So uncivilized.
So uncivilized. So what is this about? This is about them saying that they are doubling down on the answer to Yoda's Empire Strikes Back mystery. So what does that mean? And I have Mr. Abu Nas here in the chat with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much. And he says, hi, longtime channel members, and I love all the awesome lore you teach on this channel. But I want to agree with you, as I need my safe space to enjoy my awesome Rogue One. Oh my God. He's like, I need to be my safe space from you, from your ridicule, Alora, so I can enjoy Rogue One and Andor. Oh my gosh, he's going to kill me. Abu Nas admitting he needs a safe space away from me to enjoy some shitty ass content from Disney Star Wars. Oh my God, that's the win. That's the win right there. That's the win right there. Thank you coming in for that. He admits he needs a safe space from me, from OG Star Wars, so he can enjoy his Disney Star Wars. He says, I feel threatened. Oh my God. Oh, that he comes in with the win on that one. Oh my God, I'm like in tears right now. Oh God, I got it. Okay, let's take a sip of my remaining coffee. Wait, I can't yet. All right. Okay, Soul Assassin says, looks kind of childish with MySpace. Makes me think of my coolest guy, MySpace Tom. He was everyone's friend. Oh, MySpace. Oh my God. That was the days. That was like one of the very first platforms, like social media platforms, MySpace. Oh God, Abu Nas, I am in tears right now still. That was good. That was good. All right, so let's get into this here. All right, 44 years later, Star Wars doubles down the answer to Yoda's Empire Strikes Back mystery. So what do you guys think this is? All right, let's get into this. The Lego Star Wars, the Disney Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, and I think Tim has discussed this on how this is like another evidence of how they're using content like this that to show that they're going to be rebuilding a galaxy's adventures and stuff like that I've talked about. This is another thing of that. So the franchise has doubled down on the biggest Yoda mystery from The Empire Strikes Back. Rebuild the Galaxy is the Star Wars TV show that consists of 4 episodes telling a story set in an alternate galaxy. Thanks to the established characters, planets, plot points, and theories of the galaxy in a way upcoming Star Wars TV shows could not. What do you think that is? Let me get this. Oh, I don't want to see your face. I don't want to see your face. Get out of there. Get out of there. How do I get out of here? Close. Just hit the close button, Laura. There we go. As a meta self referential story, Rebuild the Galaxy makes reference to both the best and worst ranking Star Wars movies in the franchise. And this again is from Screen Rant. The miniseries plays on the ideas of different established characters in an intriguing way, and often culminating in harmonious jokes as Lego installments tend to, which all areas of Star Wars all areas of the Star Wars movies are found in one such reference. Star Wars reiterates the answer to a Yoda mystery and stretching that, mystery that's stretching back over 4 decades. So basically, Rebuild the Galaxy shows Leia as purely good. So this right here, the story, this Lego story we'll get into shares the characters in an alternate way, except for Leia. We'll get into that. And we'll share we'll talk about to answer this Star Wars mystery once more is Princess Leia. In Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy, the writers have fun by making established Star Wars villains be established as good. Well, they are doing that anyways in other Star Wars stories, and vice versa. However, as confirmed by one of the showrunners, Dan Hernandez, on social media, Leia remains the hero. So here's the tweet. So Homeschooled Film School basically says, I've been watching Rebuild the Galaxy. I could not help but notice that all of the good characters in the main universe applies with, I am glad you noticed. We felt she would be a force for good in the galaxy. So what does that mean to you guys? So they're not only sharing like all the characters in reverse, like, Luke being bad villain or what have you. She remains a constant good. Is that pandering to George Lucas? Is that pandering to her gender? What do you think this means? So I'm going to go on with this. As Hernandez points out, Leia remains a force for good no matter which alternate galaxy she is in, where Nubs, Jar Jar Binks, and even Rey Skywalker have been converted into villains. Leia remains a presence of light. Even Luke Skywalker has an appealing tendencies such as cheating in Lego Star Wars Rebuild no matter what. Why are they doing? And I want to every time I go to the Screen Rant articles, I always have a hard time bringing up your guys' comments. That's crazy. I've been noticing that. Okay, so let me see here. Come back up. When I hear Cretan, I think Crichton from Red Dwarf. It's funny until Disney canonized Lego material. And then Star Wars Marva Pierce says, we caught Soul Assassin trying to illegally enter an airlock last night. had to leave to eat something. Okay, yeah. Let's see here. They never said if Leia got rid of the slave outfit in the lore. Just saying. No, I think that, and I have to, you know what? Okay, I got to hunt this down. But Han did mention that she puts that on for him. And this is when Jaina is an adult. So the Han's talking about their disguises and what they still, and he says, Leia still wears that slave outfit for him. So there you go. I have to figure out which content, which book novel that came out of. All right. So there you go. All right. So what do you think about this remaining the good? So we'll into this now. Yoda's Empire Strike answer. The answer to the Star Wars mystery that this helps support is Yoda's instant that, okay, let me reread that. That felt very unsyncopated. It felt very off. The answer to a Star Wars mystery that this helps support is Yoda's instance that there is another. From the Empire Strike Back, Yoda utters these lines after Luke abandons his Jedi training for Bespin, with Obi-Wan insisting he will be their last hope. Yoda tells his old friend that this is not true, a statement that warranted several theories from audience upon The Empire Strikes Back, released in 1980. Since then, it has been confirmed that Yoda was speaking about Leia as another hope to defeat the dark side. Oh, okay. So, but remember when they were saying, no, it was really Rey? He really means Rey. So this goes on. This quote says, Leia has always fought for the light in Star Wars, no matter the era or the darkness pushing against her. Well, Luke has too. Han has too. All right, so let's move on. From Leia's force powers in Star Wars and her role to Rebel Alliance, New Republic, and Resistance, Resistance. So this is Disney, Star Wars, but we all know that Leia eventually became a Jedi in the true original lore. The franchise has consistently reiterated why Leia was Yoda's other hope. Leia has always fought for the light in Star Wars, no matter the era or the darkness pushing against her. You could say the same for Luke. In fact, you could say that he wanted to fight darkness, so he decided to penetrate. He decided to go to the dark side in a sense by tricking Palpatine to think that he's his apprentice, and that's in Dark Empire. Doesn't mean that he went dark in the sense of losing hope and wanting to go dark, and like his father and stuff like that, are being manipulated is what I'm trying to say, to turn dark. He wanted to infiltrate the dark side to lure, so he can learn how to defeat the dark side. So you could say that Luke too was all about the light. So why is it just Leia that they're referring to, right? This is her depiction in the Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy. Leia's eternal goodness has doubled down yet again on the idea that she was the other Yoda spoke of 44 years ago. So they're saying that it's doubling down again. No, we always knew that. There's no doubling down. It's just a fact, right? So are they trying to say that Leia is the better Skywalker? That she's the better, that Luke, again, isn't worth it? Are they downplaying Luke through his twin? What do you think about that, you guys? Because to me, that's what it seems like. That they're furthering the deconstruction of Luke Skywalker, saying that he wasn't worthy of the light, that his focus was never about the light, but Leia is because, that's all she fought for. And do you think that this could be gender specific as well as how they've been approaching the franchise lately? What do you guys think? What do you guys think? All right. So this is a bit of cringe factor. just something to think about here. Lego was better when it required imagination. Now everything is expensive, pre-designed sets. Let me see here. The judge just came back to the bench, which means it's time to go back to work. Hope you all have a great rest of the day. Much love to you all. Have a good time at work. Abunas. They're going off the Jake Skywalker lore. Yes, they are. They definitely are. Luke decided to do what? Yeah, he decided to penetrate the dark side, baby. All right. Diddley says there's another exists to tell the audience that there's a possibility that Luke could fail and die. Nobody is safe. Correct. And I think that's what they're missing too. It doesn't mean that Leia is always gonna be fighting for the light. In fact, we know that she always remained good, right? But what Yoda says is not about that. It's about having another plan, because Luke could die. He could fail. They can lose him. They have to have another plan. Right? There's another equals intend for a new character called Neelith. All right. So you guys kind of knew exactly what that meant, and I don't think there was anything in question to what that means. Doesn't mean that a character is going to stay true and light, on who they're talking about. It just means that there was a second plan. That's it. Doesn't mean the character that they're talking about is going to remain good, and so that's why, because if that's the fact, then why didn't they go to her first? If they knew that she was going to always remain good in the light and blah, 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 she would have been the one to go to first, right? Just think about it. Think about that. Make Leia good and Luke bad. They have been doing that since the beginning. Correct. And let's see. Luke played Mara back 9. Let's see here. Stop granting handouts. Productive citizen. Okay, I don't know what this guy is about. All right, so that's it. So there you go. So it looks like, CAF chat will probably be going over its 2-hour because, the news segment. And it also depends on what we're talking about and what the discussion is and what we get involved in. But, we have, and then once in a while, I'll put in some Tolkien lore and we'll discuss what's going on in that franchise because, we have similarities on what's going on. And that has been another passion of myself. We have our opening with, talking with you guys, greeting, saying hello, getting into George Lucas facts, which is fun. And I hope you guys enjoyed that. So remember to share with me on social media, particularly Twitter, in the community page. If you're not a part of the community page, request. I will look at it today before I go to bed, actually I'll look at it today as I have my lunch. And then I'll accept your request and share with me your favorite Ralph McQuarrie Star Wars concept art. I want to know. And then we'll get into, talking about the lore subject and nerding out about that. And then we'll get into Star Wars news or what's going on, the climate of Star Wars, particularly Disney Star Wars, or anything that I hear that has talks about pre-Disney Star Wars. We'll talk about that. Leading into Cringe Factor, and of course, Book of the Week. So again, Book of the Week, Shadow of Mindor, that has been shared on my Twitter page. Hopefully you pick it up and reread it. If you haven't read it, maybe you'll pick it up and read it. I think it's a fun read. It's not one of the best, but it's a fun read. And there you have it, ladies and gents. Thank you for hanging out with me. You will catch me on the Spacing Friday night. 8:05 is when it begins Pacific Standard Time on Open Airlock Policies channel or the United Spacers Alliance. That's Tim's channel. So catch me there. I don't know the topics just yet. And I got all the visuals put up. I do have a lore video coming up. I can't believe it. Oh my God. I just got to record the voiceover and it'll be published. So stay tuned for that. It is about your favorite Jedi, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, thank you guys again for hanging out with me, having fun. This is joking, and allowing this woman to be in your safe space. And once again, may the force be with you, and I shall see you guys on social media or see you on the next live stream. And you guys have a great Thursday wherever you are in the world. And let's go ahead and play this clip here. I feel like, Tim, where's that clip at? Here we go.
And I've always leaned towards if we're going to create something, we should check and see if it existed already to the fans, because it has way more value if we bring that in. And
Right.
It's like, why would I just replace it with something new? So if we're going to do an admiral, if we're going to do a big military leader, yeah, I could create a new guy, sure. But what about Thrawn? Thrawn is great. Thrawn is a character we all know. Thrawn has a lot of credibility. So then you ask yourself, is it right to use him? And can we use him in a way that's similar to the books? Or are we using him and it's going to go completely into left field? And there have been times when we wanted to use things from the EU, and I was like, yeah, but we can't use it that way, so why? I don't want to use it and change it. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't want to use it and make it something completely different. That's rude.
Another happy landing.